In this video, I want to talk about what causes leaky gut. And stay with me. I know that's just a term that's thrown around right now, but I want to explain what it is as well. So keep watching. So leaky gut is actually properly termed as intestinal permeability. All alongside of our gut lining, we have little junctions, and we can call them little gates. And what these gates do when they are tight is to allow things to open up just a little bit, to allow vitamins and minerals and all the beneficial things that we get from food, allow it into the body, absorb so we can utilize all the benefits. Now, the downfall with leaky gut or intestinal permeability is that these gates are very open. And when they are very open, they're going to be allowing things into the body that shouldn't be, that can stimulate inflammation, more food sensitivities, more food allergies, etc. So we need to make sure that our intestinal lining is strong and healthy. But before we get there, and if you are struggling with this, then obviously we have to utilize diet, and supplements are usually needed to help heal and seal, tighten, however you want to say that. I know those are terms that are pretty layman's terms, but I'm talking to people who not necessarily have a education in health. So that's why we like to dumb it down. So it's talked down upon, I think, in the traditional healthcare community because, I don't know, I think it's the way we term things. But if I say intestinal permeability to an average person, they're just gonna be like, huh? Leaky gut just sounds a little bit more self-explanatory. So before we get started on how we take care of our gut, different supplements and foods and all these things, I think we first want to address what causes this to happen in the first place, right? Because when we are looking to benefit and change something, we want to make sure that we're understanding the root cause. Why did this happen in the first place? How can I prevent this from happening again? So I want to go through those exact things with you. And number one, I'm actually going to bring in medications as one of the reasons that leaky gut can happen. Now, I'm not talking about antibiotics, you guys. I'm not talking about antacids, the things that are very obvious. Yes, they're in that category, but I also want to talk about the medications that aren't so obvious. So things like metformin, usually used for blood sugars, but metformin has a study that shows that it does change the bacterial microbiome in the gut. In particular, metformin increased things like Klebsiella and E. coli. Another medication that can alter some intestinal things is birth control, which is a very common one in women today. So birth control can actually, with a low dose of estrogen, can change intestinal permeability, as well as birth control can deplete a lot of nutrients that are needed to help support the body on every cellular level, intestinal level, magnesium, B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin E, all these vitamins that we need, birth control can deplete. There's also even a study that shows the increase of inflammatory bowel disease for people who are on birth control, which is interesting. So it's important to make sure that you're assessing the medications that you're taking, whether it be over-the-counter medications like Tylenol or Advil, or something that needs prescription. So assess your medications. The more medications you are on, the higher likely risk that you are going to affect your gut microbiome. Number two is going to be diet. This one's pretty obvious, but the standard American diet is going to increase your gut diversity of your bacteria, then leading to altered bacteria, then leading to intestinal permeability. Some of the foods in standard American diet are very inflammatory. It just really depends on the person, but I think we all can agree that the standard American diet, the processed foods, it's not going to make your gut health thrive. Not only are these foods feeding into certain, we like to call them opportunistic bacteria. So opportunistic bacteria are bacteria that isn't really beneficial like probiotics, but they will take opportunity when it has a chance to thrive and overgrow and can cause issues. Things like E. coli. E. coli is naturally found in our guts, but we just got to make sure that there is a good balance system there. So not only are these foods inflammatory and they lack nutrients, but also in this diet culture world, we are seeing a lot of restriction. So restrictive diets can even alter your microbiome and affect intestinal permeability because there's foods, carbs, that can help feed your good gut bacteria and they support your overall intestinal health. So when you take away certain foods like the low carb diet, which is absolutely needed for some people, long term, could probably argue that. Everyone's very bio-individual though, but we see these being taken out completely. And the question is, should they be? Are they going to make effects later on in life? Because we do see people who come to our practice who have been on low carb diets for a long time. Maybe they've stopped and stalled in their progress. And then when we run stool testing, they have really low microbiome diversity. So we want the bacteria in our gut to be very diverse. And that's why we have to make sure that we are eating diverse so they can be fed a variety of different things. I like to think of them as a little world and community inside of our gut. And the other thing that can affect gut health and leaky gut is going to be stress. Stress is going to downregulate your immune system, allowing these things to be overgrown. Remember, our immune system is our army, and we need our army to be strong. So if you are chronically stressed, chronically in fight or flight, then you are going to be suffering from GI stuff, which I think we can all sometimes feel it when we're going up to public speak and you feel like you're gonna poop your pants. Yeah, I mean, right there is the gut-brain connection. So reducing stress is really important if you want to optimize your gut health. Now, something also that's very interesting is our environment. Everything from living in a city to a rural area, the microbiomes are very different based on exposure, our hygiene, our living partners. If you buy organic or not, certain pesticides can affect the microbiome as well. So I find this really fascinating and giving this a holistic approach of what's going to support gut health and what's going to be potentially that root cause for you of why it was thrown off in the first place. So like I said, when we're going through these lists of what all these things are, make sure that you're assessing this and you are understanding that one of these could be your root cause and one of these are the things you really need to work on. Outside of natural antimicrobials and antiparasitics, I think there's a time and a place, absolutely, but I think we need to make sure that we always remind ourselves to go back and look at the root cause. So I would love to hear if you had any questions down in the comments below. And if you are looking for some one-on-one help, really get to know and understand your gut, we are your gals. Go ahead and go into the description. There's a link that you can fill out to book a free 15-minute phone call with me where we can chat and get to know you and let you know what we think would be the great next steps for your case individually.